Hey there, Postal here. So today we're taking out the Ki-162 Mark III, I guess we're going to call it. This is the Tier 10 Ki light fighter. So this is the Army version for the Japanese fighter line. Opposite to the Zeros. So I'm just going to say it right from the beginning that the Ki line is pretty mediocre in my opinion. It has some very strong planes. And to be honest, this plane can be very, very strong as well. Like any of the fighters that has just two 30mm cannons, though, this plane gets better the more you play it. Because if you're not, synced up with what your 30mm cannons should be doing, what you want them to be doing, well, then it's going to be a very frustrating gameplay, right? But what is this plane? Well, like all the rest of the Kis, it's very, very turny. Has a lot of fun being very, very turny. You guys can take care of that. Oh, actually, there's no. I'm just gonna keep on moving. So, like all the Japanese fighters, like you really need to be mindful of your energy. I don't go up all that high unless I absolutely need to. This plane, unlike a lot of the predecessors on this line, though, guns. Unlike a lot of the predecessors on this line, though, can get up pretty high pretty easily. And as such, it's pretty darn good in like sticking with planes like an F7U, for instance. We need to watch out for. We've got a lot of stuff here. Yep. Get on him. And two 30mm cannons when you're trying to get a Japanese turn fighter like that can be so. Well, it just can be difficult because they're so wily. They're like coyotes. Shoot my Tier 9 predecessor here. Dang it! Oh look, his engine got knocked out. So one of the things you will notice on the Tier 9 and Tier 10 version of these planes is the engines get knocked out all the time. You may have even noticed that my consumables are not my typical consumer loadout, right? The consumables on this plane I've got set up to, restart the engine, because the engines get knocked out all the time.
Attention all fighters. Enemy bombers detected.
Fortunately, we're going to lose this game already, as you can see. Let's go ahead and I guess we'll move to the center. It's not really my ammo here. Fortunately, a specialized 1101 is going to be a pain in the butt because they can get pretty darn maneuverable. Let's just keep on moving forward, though. There we go.
The airfield is ours. Utilize this advantage.
Let's utilize the advantage, shall we? Oh. Let's get this guy knocked out if we can. 30mm cannons, you really want to aim further out. Knocked out his pilot. Can I knock out anything else of his? Here we go. Cool. So let's go over here and go get that command center if we can ASAP. So yeah, I don't have the problem that I find with the Ki-162s specifically is that because they're so fragile, you've got to kind of fiddle around with, their setup. Normally I would have engine boosts on here, and I can't really do that with my plane, just because the engine gets knocked out all the time. And because the engine gets knocked out all the time, I just need to re-engage the engine with his engine. Can you believe it? So now I need to hit the air brakes as hard as possible. go. Now we need to boost up here. Get this F7U if possible. Nope, F7U's got way too much speed on me here. GA inbound. We'll get some good hits on him. No, actually, we'll kill him. Kill him! Kill him, I say. What's going on here? 215. Not overly worried about 215. Go. And so because this platform is so weak, it kind of, you know, mitigates a lot of the strengths of this plane. Because you basically need to have that engine protection. You know, you can't have the extra speed that you would normally have because you need to have you know, these things that just keep the plane, you know, afloat, literally. You know, it can just cause some major issues when it comes to outmaneuvering or outspeeding some of the other planes that you'll run into. Are we gonna get this damn sector, people? We're about to lose this center sector. We're gonna lose everything. Ki. Some good 30mm chunks in there. He's on fire because that's what those planes do.
Be advised, a line of thunderstorms is
And
approaching.
we've lost everything. Because, God forbid, they do anything. Bad bots, man. We're getting the bad bots. That 1101 is owning us pretty hardcore.
Be advised, the enemy is concentrating forces
Everybody's
near
coming
the
to the center,
airfield.
so I guess this is where we're gonna hang out.
Almost got
Because
us.
why the hell not? Game's over anyway.
That's it. There's no way to break through for you now. You're on your own.
Let's see what we can do as far as killing things is concerned. Nope. And the 1101's playing it smart by not coming to the center. Or at least not making a conscious effort to be at the center. Because he knows I can outmaneuver him at least most of the time. Where is this guy? That's not him. It's just super high up key face. None of our guys wants to actually capture anything, so we're just kind of stuck. You know, what we're doing here. Cool. No. Nope.
Attention, all aircraft. Fall back.
Very well. You know, we did everything a key can do there, but didn't capture any sectors. It's one of the downfalls of, you know, fighters in general. And this plane specifically, just because it doesn't have all that airspeed that you would necessarily want, you know, like an 1101's going to have, or definitely a Swift, or an F-86, or a MiG, or... yeah. So a reason why I don't necessarily recommend going down this line as like an early on going down, because A, it's a kind of just mediocre line in general, and B, it ends on a plane that can do well, but really needs support to actually win games, right? It's definitely GG on New Moon here. He's always been always a good person to go against, or she. I don't know. Don't talk to them specifically. But hopefully this gives you some perspective of this particular plane. It is a solid plane, right? But there's just better fighters at tier 10. The issue that this plane has is, you know, because it gets its engines knocked out all the freaking time, you need the engine restart. And even once I get this specialized, like, there's not an extra slot for an engine consumable, which is really weird considering it's got, you know, these tumors of an engine on the top. You'd think that there'd be an extra one. So once I get this specialized, I'll be putting more maneuverability on the airframe, and I'll be putting the pneumatic control assist on the consumables, because it's really all you've got going for you in this plane. The forward-firing weapons, I suppose I'll probably put long barrel guns on it just to get some more range. I might do GOA, we'll see. This plane, I just get I feel like, you know, you really need to have a lot of energy put towards, you know, mitigating its weaknesses. It's a Japanese fighter, so it's going to catch on fire all the time. So you need to have the firefighter skill on the Japanese fighters, in my opinion. Like the first point that you have on any Japanese plane, and the heavies, you know, it's debatable, but the light fighters for sure, you need firefighter. And the reason being is because firefighter engages and takes out the fire when you're highly maneuvering. High angular velocity, as it says, which basically means turning really tight, and you're probably doing that in a frickin' Ki or a 0 anyway, so, you know, put a firefighter on there. I get my fires put out pretty quickly with a firefighter. And again, so my consumables I've set up because you've got to mitigate the engine getting knocked out all the time. Granted, I didn't get that engine knocked out at all this match, which is very, very, very rare. Now, as I build up my pilot, as I build up my, you know, my equipment, maybe eventually I won't need to have the engine restarter on this particular plane, but for the time being, it's a pretty mediocre plane as far as pilot points is concerned, and as far as specialization is concerned, it's not set up yet, and so I'm not even going to try to do the engine cooling for the consumables. I might have gone overboard when it came to the universal skills and getting Marksman 2, but I do want my shots to be hitting. And you've got two 30mm cannons, you really kind of want to go all in when it comes to accuracy. And I believe a lot of my hits were based on the fact that Marksman 2 helps with maneuvering targets, that extra 10%. So I could be wrong in that regard. I could be right, who knows. And then for aerodynamics expert, I think that's just an overall, you know, good boost when it comes to helping your equipment. I've got a balanced approach to my equipment with the polished skin and the lightweight engine, so I'm helping both my airspeed and my maneuverability, and this reinforces all of that, and so that's why I've gone with aerodynamics expert. You could conceivably go with something like Engine Guru. I could have gone with like Marksman 1, Engine Guru 1, and you know, still have a point left over. With this plane, you know, what's the good and bad of this plane is because there's so many like issues you've got to overcome. There's a lot of different approaches you can take to that. My approach to it was it's already a very maneuverable plane, and so I didn't want to like go all in with maneuverability. I wanted to get some sort of airspeed out of these engines on top here. And I did want to go all in when it came to accuracy of my guns, just because I really want to make sure these two pretty rapid-fire 30mm cannons actually hit. Anyway, I know this was a loss, but until I get this thing specialized, I'm not going to feel like I can necessarily completely own battles. I can certainly own my personal points. I don't know about my ability to own, you know, have the actual ability to dictate a battle when you're going against a specialized plane like the 1101, who can really dictate the engagement, determine which sectors get flipped. When in this plane, you still lack that that ability to really get up high and interact with those planes that are up high, like bombers and things of that nature. And you know, you're a relatively low altitude turn fighter who can go up high, but I mean, I'm not going to go up high against an 1101 and mitigate all my airspeed and my maneuverability just to go up high where he can outturn and outspeed me because he's built for being higher up. Anyway, a long explanation as to why I've got this plane set up the way I've got it set up. I enjoy the plane, but I enjoy it now. I don't think I would have enjoyed it when I first got to World of Warplanes. If I was recommending a line to go down to start off with, Honestly, something like the LA line would be really good first line to go down, although the Tier 9's a little wonkadoo. The Spitfire line's an excellent line to first go down, although the Swift can be hard to come to terms with. Yeah, I mean, the BF-109 line's pretty darn good as well, and of course it ends really, really well. Just keep in mind it's not the most maneuverable line, especially early on, so you just need to be aware of your limitations when it comes to maneuverability. So that would really be like the 3 lines I would recommend going, probably in this order too, would be Spitfire, Lavochkins, BF-109s. As you get more used to... Spitfires are just very forgiving. They're going to allow you to make mistakes and overcome those. Lavochkins, in a very similar manner, can do the same thing. They're a slightly less maneuverable version of a Spitfire with centralized guns. And then the BF-109s I think, are really, really well-balanced machines. Very high altitude, or high altitude for fighters. Good airspeed, good mix of guns, not just machine guns, but they've got cannons and machine guns. So you can really do a lot of damage with the BF-109s. And all 3 of those lines end really good with great Tier 10 planes as well. So yeah, there's my video for the day. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm still going to be grinding this plane out to try to get specialization on it. I've only got 162 more enemy aircraft to kill. So hopefully, 10 to 12 games, I'll get this knocked out. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Oh no, it'll be more than that. I forgot. Enemy aircraft, it doesn't count the air defense aircraft. So yeah, it'll be more than that. For sure. Anyway, I'm done rambling. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.